Chosen one. There are things God whispers to thousands, encouragements that carry people through ordinary days, reminders that He has not forgotten, promises that soften the edges of a long and quiet wait. But there are other things, rarer things, things He speaks to almost no one, not because the others are less loved, but because some words are so precisely shaped that they can only land inside the one exact soul they were built for. What is being placed on this message today belongs to that category. You carry a gift that no one else on this earth carries in the same way. Not a general blessing assigned to all who believe. Not a spiritual talent distributed among 100,000. Something singular. Something that God fashioned for your history, your particular wiring, your exact way of experiencing this world. And today is the day He is ready to show you what that gift actually is. Not as a comfort, not as a motivational word that fades by morning, as a revelation. A clarity that will make the rest of your life legible in ways it has never been before. Something in you already knows the weight of what I just said. That knowing is not coincidence, it is confirmation. Close your eyes for a moment and locate yourself in a familiar scene. Perhaps it is late evening and the house is quiet, and you are sitting with your own thoughts in a room where no one is watching you. Perhaps you are lying in bed unable to settle, not because of worry, but because something alive in you refuses to go quiet. Perhaps you are in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by people, feeling an unbridgeable distance between yourself and everything around you. All of these are the same moment. They are the moment that happens when a person carries something too large for the container of an ordinary life, and you have been in that moment more times than you can count. What I want to do with you today is not simply name what you carry, I want to show it to you, because the signs of this specific gift have been visible in your experience for years, possibly for your entire life. And once you see them clearly, something in you is going to shift. Not because I told you something new, but because the truth you have been half seeing is finally going to be seen in full. The first sign is this: you wake up with the pressure of something wanting to be made, not a project, not a goal you wrote in a notebook. Something deeper than that. A pull toward creation that you cannot always explain and cannot always obey. And the gap between the pull and what your days allow has been a source of quiet grief. You carry it into the morning. You fall asleep still carrying it. The weight of not yet having made the thing does not feel like procrastination. It feels like a promise you have not been able to keep. This is not restlessness from a lack of direction. This is a gift pressing against the walls of your daily life, asking to be let out. Every person who has ever created something that changed the world started in this exact place. Pressure before expression, weight before words, the ache of something significant before the release of it. You are not late. You are in the exact season where the weight is reaching the point of necessary release. The second sign is something you may have felt but struggled to describe to anyone else. The conversations that used to fill your evenings feel thin now. The environments that once satisfied feel small. The people you used to feel comfortable spending hours with have started to drain you in ways that leave you guilty for noticing. You have asked yourself if something is wrong with you. You have tried to go back to what used to fit. Nothing about this is wrong with you. You have simply outgrown the frequency of what once fit. When a person carries what you carry, ordinary stimulation stops being enough. The mind and the spirit require depth the way the lungs require air. Your changed tolerance is not arrogance, and it is not impatience. It is calibration. It is your system trying to protect the gift by refusing what would diminish it. And there is nothing in you that needs to apologize for growing past what was built for a smaller version of you. The third sign may be the one that has startled you the most. You know things before they are spoken. You walk into a room and read it before anyone has opened their mouth. You felt something was wrong in a situation weeks before it broke open, and you did not know how to explain what you already knew. You have had conversations where the other person is speaking and something in you recognizes the words from a moment of inner knowing that arrived before the conversation began. This is not imagination. This is not anxiety projecting outcomes. This is a gift that processes reality at a layer most people never access. The ancient texts speak of a kind of knowing that comes not from external evidence, but from an inner architecture that perceives before the visible world has assembled its proof. You were built to perceive at that level. The flashes of knowing are not flukes. They are how the gift speaks through you before you have the language to say what you already know. The fourth sign will sound familiar. It is not the tired that sleep fixes. Sleep can take care of physical fatigue and the heaviness of a long week. But this tired sits somewhere deeper. It lives in your chest, not your muscles. It comes after interactions where you gave something invisible. It follows days when you were not physically taxed but spiritually stretched. You have tried to describe it and watched people not quite understand what you are pointing at. This is what happens when you carry weight that has no label. When the gift inside you is interacting with the world constantly, perceiving and absorbing and processing and translating, and the world around you does not know to give you the space you need to restore. This is not weakness. This is the signature of someone carrying something sacred in a world that was not designed to accommodate it. Not everyone with a gift is tired in this way, but everyone carrying what you carry has known this specific tired. And there is one more thing that has been happening to you. Something you may have mentioned once or twice and watched people respond with polite uncertainty, because what you were describing did not fit the categories they had available. The right word arrives at the exact moment you needed it. A stranger says something that answers the question you have been turning over in your heart for weeks. A door opens on the very day you finally released your grip on, forcing it open. You receive something, a message, an encounter, a piece of information at a moment so precisely timed that it cannot be explained by chance. These are not accidents, these are coordinates. When you carry what you carry, the God who designed you does not simply leave you to navigate alone. Time becomes responsive. Doors sense the season. People arrive not at random, but at the exact moment the gift inside you has prepared you to receive what they bring. Your timing is not luck. It is the gift operating in the dimension you cannot fully see, but have been feeling your entire life. What ties all 5 of these signs together is not chance, it is architecture. Your gift is not a single ability sitting in one section of your life. It is the entire architecture of how God built you. The way you sense, the way you know, the way you tire from the invisible work no one else sees you doing, the way your creative pressure builds, the way time bends around your decisions in ways that appear coincidental only to the people who do not know what you carry. This is not a collection of separate traits. This is one unified design, assembled with intention, assembled for a specific purpose that you are about to understand in full. And here is what you may not have recognized until this moment. There have been times when all 5 of these signs arrived together in the same week, sometimes in the same day, where you felt the creative pressure and the deep knowing and the precise timing and the invisible fatigue and the sense of having outgrown your surroundings all at once. And in those moments, something in you almost found the word for what was happening, almost reached the answer. It arrived just below the surface and then receded, like a language you once knew that lives just beyond the reach of memory. What is significant is that these signs live in 2 worlds at once. Some feel like body experiences, fatigue, pressure, restlessness. Some feel like spiritual experiences, knowing, timing, sensing. But they are not 2 separate categories. They are the same thing appearing in different registers. Your physical system and your spiritual system are one architecture, sending the same message from multiple locations simultaneously. This is not a psychological pattern to overcome. This is your entire being communicating the same truth from every channel available. You carry something real, something that cannot be replicated, cannot be reassigned, cannot be given to anyone else on this earth. And here is where most messages about gifts stop. They name the signs. They validate the feeling. They say, yes, you are different. Yes, you carry something. Yes, you were chosen. And that is real and that matters. But it is only the beginning. Because the question is not whether you have the gift. The evidence of the gift has been living in your experience for years. The question is what happens when you finally understand what the gift actually is, what it was designed to do, what has been slowly suppressing it without your knowing, and how after all of this time it can be fully released. That is what comes next. There is a question underneath everything I just described. If the gift is real, if it has been signaling itself through 5 different channels in your experience, if it was placed by God with intention and precision, then why has it felt so suppressed for so long? Why has it felt like something in you was reaching for what it was designed to do and kept finding a ceiling it could not break through? The answer is not what you might expect, and it is not a comfortable answer, but it is a liberating one. The gift required the difficulty, not as punishment, not as a test designed to see if you would break, as formation. Every person who has ever carried a singular gift, in every century, in every culture, in every tradition where this story has been told, went through a season that looked from the outside like delay, defeat, or disappearance. The wilderness is not the evidence that the gift was taken from you. The wilderness is the evidence that the gift was being prepared. There is a man whose story the ancient texts record with unusual precision. He was chosen before anyone around him knew he was chosen. Not the oldest, not the tallest, not the most obvious candidate by any visible measure. He was a shepherd, a young man in a field with animals, with no audience, with nothing yet to point to as evidence of what God had placed in him. And yet God looked at this young man and made a specific declaration, not about his accomplishments, about his inner architecture, about the thing inside him that no one else in the family carried. The prophet standing in that house was told, God does not see what the people see. They look at the outer appearance. God looks at what is within. Before this man stepped into any public role, before his name became attached to what he was destined to carry, he was hidden. He learned things in the quiet that could not be learned in the crowd. He learned how to hold steady when no one was watching, how to fight battles before the battles had names, how to protect what was entrusted to him before he fully understood the weight of the trust. Every season he spent unseen was building a capacity in him that the visible world would later require. He was not forgotten in the field. He was being prepared there. When the prophet arrived at the home of his family, this young man was not even summoned from the field. His father did not think to include him. He was not considered a candidate by those who knew him longest. And yet, when he finally stood before the prophet, something shifted in the room, not because of how he looked, not because of what he said, but because of what was in him. What had been shaped in those unseen seasons announced itself without words. And what was formed in the waiting became visible in an instant. This is your story too. The seasons where you felt most hidden, most delayed, most disconnected from where you believed you were supposed to be, those seasons were doing something. They were doing something precise, not punishment, not mistake. Formation. What cannot be formed in the comfort of early recognition is being formed in you, in the quiet. The specific calibration of your gift for the specific purpose it was assigned That calibration requires the kind of resistance that only difficulty provides. Some of the people who used to be in your life are no longer there. Some left, some you had to release. Some faded in a way that felt like loss, more than like choice. And you have wondered more than once whether that means something went wrong. It did not go wrong. What ended in an old alignment is evidence that the alignment was old. When a person is being prepared for the level of gift you carry, the relationships calibrated for a smaller version of you cannot stay. Not because they were bad people, not because the connection was not real, but because the frequency required for what comes next cannot be sustained in an environment that was built for what was. And something else was stripped in the difficult season, something you once believed was you, but was actually a borrowed identity, a way of showing up that was shaped more by what others needed from you than by what God placed in you. Roles you accepted that felt like you, but were only the edges of you, versions of yourself. You performed for the approval of people who could never quite see the full design. What the wilderness takes is what should not come forward with you. And in taking it, it prepares the space for what was always true to finally step forward without competition. There is a bird that understands something about this that most other birds never learn. It does not fight the wind. Most birds strain against resistance, exhausting themselves in the effort of getting somewhere. But this bird waits. It locates the invisible current of rising air, the thermal that is already moving upward, and it opens its wings and rises without the flapping. Not because it is passive, because it has learned what the wind is for. You have been learning this. What looked like stillness from the outside was orientation from the inside. What looked like delay was the patient work of locating the current. Pause here for a moment. You have been receiving truth in your body for some time now. Something that was said landed somewhere. Do not rush past it. Take one breath that belongs entirely to this moment, not a breath to prepare for what comes next, just a breath. Let what just arrived settle before we go deeper. There is something I need to name before this message goes further. What you have been feeling, the creative pressure, the knowing, the changed tolerance, the precise timing, all of it. It is not only a spiritual experience, it has a physical dimension as well, a neurological one, and a small group of researchers led by a neurologist in New York who has spent more than 2 decades studying the brain, discovered something about what happens at the neural level in people who carry what you carry. I will show you exactly what they found later in this message, but hold this question as we continue. What if the suppression of your gift is not only a spiritual battle? What if there is also something happening in your brain that the world did not prepare you for? And what if there is a way to reverse it? The details are waiting for you in the description and pinned comment below this message, for anyone whose spirit is already reaching for that answer. For now, stay with what we are uncovering, because the deepest truth about your gift is not in the science. The science will confirm what was always true, but the truth itself goes deeper than any laboratory can measure. There is a discipline that matters for someone with your gift. Each day there will be voices that tell you what to do, voices from inside you and voices from outside. The voice of the gift sounds different from the voice of fear, but they can both feel urgent, and in the noise of an ordinary day, it is easy to confuse them. The gift speaks in the direction of expansion. It opens something. It may ask you to do something uncomfortable, but the discomfort of the gift is the discomfort of growth, not the discomfort of danger. Fear speaks in the direction of contraction. It closes something. Learning to feel the difference between the pull of the gift and the grip of fear is one of the most important developments you can cultivate, and it develops in the quiet, in the moments you protect for yourself, where the noise of the world does not have permission to enter. There is also a practice that matters for this exact season, because the wilderness does something strange to identity. You carry a gift of this magnitude, and you have also, in the process of the difficult seasons, accumulated a set of descriptions of yourself that are not quite accurate. Stories about who you are that were written by people who could not fully see you, or written by yourself on the hard days when the full picture was not visible. Begin the practice of speaking to yourself with the voice of the one who fashioned you, not the voice of what the difficult season implied, not the voice of the people who knew only the edges of you. The voice that says what God said about you before you understood what it meant. Speak what is true even before you feel it, especially before you feel it. That is not pretending. That is alignment. And alignment is precisely what activates what you carry. But there is something that has been working against the gift for longer than you know, something that the difficult seasons could not fully address, because it is not a matter of character or faith or effort. It is something happening at a deeper level. And in what comes next, we are going to look at it directly, because you cannot release what you do not name. And what you are about to name is going to explain more about your experience than any other single thing you have heard. There is a name for what has been happening, not a spiritual metaphor, not an approximation, a specific, measurable, documented name for the mechanism that has been working against the gift you carry. And here is where the revelation shifts. Here is where something you could only describe as a feeling becomes something you can actually understand. The principle of how the gift activates is not the principle most people assume. Most people assume that a gift of this magnitude activates through effort, through striving, through getting up earlier, pushing further, performing harder, being more disciplined than everyone around you. And effort is not irrelevant. Effort matters. But the activation of a singular gift, the kind God fashioned specifically for your architecture, does not come primarily through effort. It comes through alignment. The difference is this: effort is what you apply to a situation from the outside. Alignment is when the situation becomes the expression of what you already carry from the inside. Effort is pushing against the current. Alignment is finally letting the current carry you. In the original Hebrew, the word used most often in the ancient texts for a gift given by God is the word matath. And what is remarkable about this word is the permanence it carries. It does not describe a gift that can be taken back, a grace that is conditional on performance, a blessing that fades if not maintained. The verb form of matath, when used in the context of what God places in a person, means given as a permanent possession, not lent, not borrowed, not conditional on the recipient performing well enough to keep it. Placed, finished, completed, yours. What God placed in you when He made you, the gift we have been talking about this entire message, it has not expired. It has not been revoked. The world suppressed it. The difficult seasons buried it under layers of survival, but it was never taken. It is still there. But there is something that must be addressed before the full activation can happen. Because the world did not give you the right language for the boundary that the gift requires, many of you have been carrying guilt about the space you need. Guilt for pulling away from what drains what was not meant to be drained. Guilt for not being as available as you once were. Guilt for protecting something in yourself that the people around you wanted access to. Guilt for outgrowing, for becoming, for stepping quietly into the next version of yourself, while others were still comfortable in the version that had served them well. That guilt is real. It sits heavy in the chest. It makes you question whether protecting the gift is a kind of selfishness. It is not. And so, hear this clearly. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to outgrow places. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that others found more comfortable. You are allowed to protect what God is building in you. You are allowed to set the boundary that keeps the gift alive. You are allowed to choose silence when explanation would cost more than it would communicate. And you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming who you were always intended to be. There is a chosen one I want to tell you about. He spent the better part of a year in what looked from the outside like collapse. His career stalled. His closest relationships tested every conviction he had about himself. He went quiet. Not the quiet of giving up, but the deliberate quiet of a person who had decided that the next season would not be announced. He withdrew from the spaces where performance was expected. And 40 days after the deepest point of that quiet, something arrived. An offer, completely unsolicited, from a direction he had never pointed himself toward. The offer was specific, substantial, and precisely shaped for what the wilderness had prepared him to do. He proved himself in silence before he promoted himself in public. That is how the gift works when the person carrying it stops performing and starts positioning. Before what comes next, take a real breath. Not a breath to prepare yourself, just a breath that belongs entirely to this moment. You have been receiving truth for a long time. The ground shifts when truth lands. Give it a moment to settle. This is the space between what you were told and what you now carry. There is one more thing that changes everything. Before I show you what Dr. Barone and his team found, there is something you need to understand about the specific mechanism that has been working against your gift. Not only spiritually, physically, because what comes next is the part that most people, even the most spiritually awake people, never hear about. And it explains everything. Let me be direct for a moment. Everything in this message has been pointing toward one central question. Why, if the gift is real and has been there from the beginning, does it feel so suppressed? You have worked on your faith. You have done the inner work. You have released old identities and walked through the wilderness seasons. And yet something in your thinking, in the speed of your perception, in the clarity of your creative output, has not fully come back online. Here is the honest answer. The world, from the time you were very young, systematically disconnected the two hemispheres of your brain from their natural state of coordination. When both hemispheres are fully synchronized, as they are in almost every child under the age of 7, something extraordinary happens. Perception accelerates. Pattern recognition sharpens. Creative output flows without the usual resistance. Scientists call this whole brain activation. The ancient texts call it wisdom. The gift inside you was designed to operate from this state, and the suppression you have been experiencing is, at least in significant part, a neurological story, not a spiritual failure. A physical pattern that can be addressed. The gift inside you, the one we have spent this entire message uncovering, does not live in a separate room from your brain. It lives in the architecture of your whole mind, when that architecture is functioning as it was designed. The pressure you feel, the knowing, the creative weight, all of it operates at maximum clarity when both hemispheres of your brain are working in full coordination. What has been dimmed is not the gift. What has been dimmed is the neural condition in which the gift can fully express. This is not for everyone. Most people encountered this kind of research at some point and moved on. They settled. They accepted the fog, the forgetting, the feeling of running at partial capacity as a natural consequence of getting older. They stopped asking why. But you are still here. You are still asking the question that will not let you settle. That question, the one that drove you to this message today, is the question of someone who was not designed for partial capacity. You were chosen for more than this. And the science Dr. Barone found, it was built for exactly the kind of person you are. A woman in Manhattan carried a story her whole life that her family had been born under the wrong star. Her father gave 22 faithful years to the same company, and that company folded the year of his long-awaited promotion. She had watched blessing arrive at the edge of her family and turn away, generation after generation. Then she found this, not as a spiritual solution alone, as a neurological one. Within weeks, something shifted. She received a promotion she had stopped allowing herself to expect. Her marriage, which had grown cold and distant, began to open again in ways she could not fully explain. She called her sister and said, "The family story is wrong. The ceiling was never fate. The ceiling was fixable." Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for proving something most people never heard about in school or in church. The two hemispheres of your brain can operate in full synchronized coordination. When they do, something remarkable activates in your cognition, your pattern recognition, your creative output, your intuitive processing. The tragedy is that while 98% of children measure at creative genius levels, fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults retain that capacity. What changed is not their intelligence. What changed is the synchronization. If you have tried audio programs or mental exercises that promise to improve your clarity and nothing changed, there is a reason. Most of those approaches address only surface symptoms without touching the root. Meditation takes months of daily practice to produce measurable neurological results. And the research shows that despite more than 15,000 studies on its benefits, rates of cognitive decline and mental fatigue continue to rise. What Dr. Barone developed is different. It is not a brainwave track. It is not another entrainment audio. It is a targeted auditory sequence built specifically around neural sync technology, designed to reconnect the two hemispheres in the precise pattern Dr. Sperry documented. The mechanism is fundamentally different from anything else available. A team of neuroscientists led by Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist based in New York City who has spent more than 2 decades studying whole brain activation, spent years turning 1 hour of clinical neural sync technology into something you can listen to in 8 minutes. They call it the Genius Switch. It is not a meditation app. It is not a $7,000 clinical machine. It is a targeted auditory sequence designed to reconnect both hemispheres of your brain. The same mechanism, Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for describing 8 minutes, headphones, eyes closed. That is the entire protocol. Colleagues in the research community suggested that at $500, this would represent remarkable value. In-person neurofeedback sessions run $300 per hour. The clinical machines cost up to $7,000. Dr. Barone did not price it at $500. He released it at $49, already more than 40% below what the research community had suggested. And for those accessing it through the link in the description and pinned comment below, the price today is $39. That includes 4 free bonuses, each designed to support and sustain the whole brain restoration, and the entire package is covered by a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Listen for 8 minutes. Listen for 8 months. If it does not produce a shift, you do not pay a cent. One important note: if you search for the phrase Genius Switch on streaming platforms or video sites, you will find audio tracks using similar language. His team studied them. The vast majority contained no neural sync technology whatsoever. They simply used the language to generate attention. The actual sequence, the one built on the documented science of whole brain activation, is only available through Dr. Barone directly. There is a reason for that protection, and Dr. Barone explains it himself on the page. Every day this goes without being addressed. the neural pattern of disconnection becomes more embedded. Your creative output, your clarity, your intuitive sharpness, all of it is operating below its designed capacity. Not because something is wrong with you, because something that was taken from you at a neural level has not yet been returned. The price of $39 is not guaranteed beyond today. If you feel led, there is nothing to wait for. If what you just heard resonates in your spirit, the details are in the description and pinned comment below this message. No complicated equipment, no pills, no techniques that require months of practice to feel anything at all. Just headphones, eyes closed, 8 minutes a day, and the architecture of your whole brain beginning to come back online. The link is there for anyone whose spirit has confirmed that this is the next step. And now, what every revelation in this message has been building toward, what the signs were pointing at, what the formation was preparing you to receive, what the science has confirmed from the outside. There is a truth that recontextualizes everything. A truth so simple and so large that when it finally lands, it does not feel like new information. It feels like remembering something you already knew. The gift you carry is not separate from your brain. It is your brain, functioning in full coordination, the way God designed it before the world had the opportunity to dim it. What you have been experiencing is the pressure of a spiritual gift, the knowing, the creative weight, the ability to perceive what others miss. That is, whole brain activation, operating through the channel of someone who was made to carry it. God did not give you a gift that floats above your neurology. He gave you a neurology designed to be the vehicle for the gift. And the suppression you have been experiencing is not only spiritual opposition, it is the systematic shutdown of the neural architecture your gift was built to live in. When you were a child, you had it. You were curious about everything. You learned with a freedom that did not yet know certain things were supposed to be difficult. The world looked magical and strange and endlessly interesting. That was not childhood innocence. That was whole brain coordination, both hemispheres working in the full synchronization God designed them for. And then the world began its systematic work of separating what God had joined, not always maliciously, but effectively, the conditioning of survival, the pressure of performance, the narrowing of what was acceptable to think and feel and know. By the time most people reach adulthood, the synchronization is gone. The gift feels distant, the knowing feels unreliable. The creative pressure feels like frustration rather than invitation. He is saying that what was dimmed in you was not destroyed. He is saying that the gift he fashioned before you were born, the specific neural architecture of wisdom and perception and creative knowing that makes you unlike anyone else on this earth, it is still there, not gone, not revoked, not expired, suppressed by the world, buried under layers of survival, waiting but intact. And the season you are entering is the season of its full return. Not gradually, not in small increments over years of striving. A restoration that begins the moment you stop treating the gift as something you must earn back and start receiving it as something that was always yours. There is something the Spirit wants to say directly to you now. You are the light bearer, not because you try to be, but because when you enter a space, something shifts in the room. The confusion that was settled before you arrived starts to clarify. The people who were carrying weight without words find that near you, the words begin to come. You do not turn on a light when you walk in. You are the light. That is not an achievement. That is your nature. You are the seer, the one who perceived before the evidence assembled, the one who felt what was coming before it, had a shape, who read rooms and relationships at a depth that left you knowing things you could not always act on, but could never quite forget. That perception is not a burden you developed. It is a gift you were given. and in its full activation, it becomes the most precise instrument you have ever had access to. You are the voice, the one who articulates what a room of people feels but cannot say. Your words arrive and land with a weight that exceeds the effort it took to produce them. You have spoken things casually in passing that people still carry years later. The voice does not need volume, it needs accuracy, and you have it. You are the pioneer, the one who enters the unfamiliar before the path is made so that others have a path to follow. The loneliness you experienced in the wilderness was not accidental. Pioneers are alone at the front because the territory has not yet been named. You have been naming it with every step forward. Those who needed you to go first are behind you, waiting to follow. You are the cycle breaker, the one who ends what should not continue, the one who refuses, in your generation and your family and your community, to pass forward what was passed to you that should have stopped long ago. The generational weight you released in the difficult seasons, the family story you refused to repeat, the self-limiting belief you outgrew, these are not small personal victories. They are acts of liberation for people who are not born yet. The cycle breaks in you so that those who come after do not have to begin where you began. There is a bird that does not fight the wind. You remember it, the one that waits, that locates the invisible current of rising air and opens its wings and rises without the flapping effort of a bird trying to get somewhere against resistance. You have been learning to be that bird for a long time. The stillness that looked like delay was orientation. The silence that looked like withdrawal was location. And now you have found the thermal. The current is already moving. The wind is not your enemy. The wind is the gift, announcing itself through the very conditions you thought were working against you. Open your wings. When you leave this message, something will be different. Not because I said something exceptional, but because a truth you already partially knew has been fully named, and named truths change the way you move through the world. The signs you once called anxiety, you will now call signal. The fatigue you once called weakness, you will now call evidence. The creative pressure you once called restlessness, you will now call invitation. The knowing you once called paranoia, you will now call gift. Nothing in your circumstances will have changed in the next hour, but everything about how you interpret those circumstances will begin to shift, and that shift is the beginning of the activation. Father, we pause here, not to ask for anything yet, not to release anything yet, just to acknowledge the distance this message has traveled to arrive at the ears of this particular soul at this particular hour. There is nothing accidental about the precision of that arrival. This one, sitting here, or lying here, or standing here, in whatever room they occupy right now, was not browsing for entertainment. Something older than their awareness brought them to this moment. And you knew, before this message began, exactly who would hear it and exactly why today was the day. We see that. We honor that. We do not rush past it. To the weight that has no name, release. To the identity that was borrowed rather than born, release. To the guilt of outgrowing what was meant to be outgrown, release. To the grief of the relationships that could not follow, release. To the decade that looked like loss but was formation, release. To the version of yourself that tried to make the gift small enough for the rooms that had no capacity for it, release. To the fear that what you carry might be too much, too unusual, too singular to find its place in the world, release. And to the lie that the suppression was permanent, that the sealing was final, that the world took something that cannot be returned, release. You were not designed for small rooms. What is in you was placed there by a design older than your fear of it. And now speak this over yourself, not as a wish, not as a hope, as a declaration of what is already true. I carry what no one else carries in the way I carry it. What God placed in me was placed permanently, completed before the world had a chance to diminish it. The difficult seasons did not take the gift. They shaped the vessel. I am not behind. I am not overlooked. I am not an accident. I am the light. I am the seer. I am the voice. I am the pioneer. I am the cycle breaker. I am the one with the gift that no one on earth carries exactly as I do, and I receive that. Not with striving, with alignment, with the open wing of a bird that has finally found the current. My gift is not a future promise. It is a present reality, and it is time. This is not a declaration made because you feel it fully in this moment. This is a declaration made because it is true regardless of how you feel. Truth spoken in advance of feeling is the most powerful form of alignment that exists. You are not speaking a wish into being. You are aligning your voice with what God has already spoken about you. And when your voice aligns with what God has declared, something in the atmosphere of your life begins to shift. Not over years. The shift begins the moment alignment is established. Let that settle. What was spoken is real. What was sealed is permanent. And so it is. Before you go, gently press the like on this message. Not for a channel, not for a number, but so that the person who needs to hear this tonight, the person sitting in their own quiet room carrying what they cannot yet explain, finds it. Your action carries the gift forward. If something in this message confirmed what you have been carrying, type these words in the comment below. Type, I carry it. Let those words be your agreement with what was spoken over you today. There are more words being prepared for your next season. Stay connected so that when they arrive, they find you. This is where those words will be waiting. If someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who stopped trying to explain themselves to the people around them, someone who has been carrying something that looks like withdrawal from the outside, but you know from the inside is preparation. Share this message with them. It may be the word they have been asking for in the silence. And remember, the genius switch is not a shortcut around the gift. It is the key that returns what was taken from the neural architecture your gift was built to live in. 8 minutes a day, headphones, eyes closed. The link is in the description for whoever knows in their spirit that it is time.